to do interview or like podcast with actually we have to interview with international student which
I see.
are doing an like internship or professional. So we have met before, and yeah, I propose you to be our interviewee.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely an international student. You're on the right,
Yes.
you find the right person.
Yes, Jerry. So, basically, tonight we are gonna talk more about these AI, is artificial intelligence, robotic, and so on. And as we know before that, you are now at Shopee as a product manager, right?
Yes, that's right.
And your previous background also in more related with the data science and e-commerce and so on. Yeah, I think you are the best and fit one for these topics. Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Thanks
yeah,
for having me. Yeah.
yes. So yeah, Jerry, we can start now by we I can ask for your background first. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, my name's Jerry. So currently, like you introduced, I am a product manager at Shopee, but I have recently graduated with a degree in computer science and economics and data science. So I've been working on this data stuff for in school for a long time. And you guys are still in school, right? What years are you guys in? First First year, is it? Oh, fourth year. Yeah. So I'm just a year older. So not much. So there's really, I don't consider my professional yet, but always carrying the student mindset. So,
Mm.
yeah. So I am an international student. I was born in China. I grew up in China until age of 14. That's when I moved to the US for high school. And then
Recording in progress.
later, let me click got it. And later, um, for college where I studied computer science. I mean, I love the data science and always love technology, and that's why I picked the study of computer science because at this stage, data science is really just a catchphrase. I mean, what it really does is still a heavy computer science oriented degree and application. So that's my academic background. But I did a few internships in various data science fields. So I work at a large data consulting firm in Shanghai, China, where I served large car companies like Mercedes, Volvo, this kind of clients. We help them build data science tools. So that's like the very first exposure of what kind of data tools big companies are using to monitor their large corporation in such a large continent, well, not a continent, large country, right? Because China has so many different cities. You think about car dealerships, what kind of performance they have at every single city's car dealership, thousands of them. So that's when I first realized, wow, okay, so when you're working with these clients from the car company, how do we present data in an automated fashion to them? So that's one of my first, and we can dive more into it if we want to talk about it. But let me just go through some of the experience I had, and then I work and I switch gear to the other for my second job experience where I work with a small startup, which I work with it's a company of 4 or 5 people, 5 full-time employees. It's a startup that's for small e-commerce sellers in the US. So in the US, it's because internet started low. Internet gets popular and personal devices get popular way before Southeast Asia. So people have the habit of using emails. So we look at email data, what kind of emails people are opening what kind of promotional emails that people are opening and what kind of transactions that caused by these emails. Basically, we pack these data together and then we build models and to predict what's the most optimal discount price we can provide them. So that's another like more or less interesting data science kind of approach that we have, but with a very different group. Small e-commerce sellers who still use very traditional marketing tool like emails. So that's very different from what I've seen. And I realized I like working with e-commerce and stuff, which you feel like you're actually the models you help build actually convert to sales because you actually see how your models data can actually help. So that's why I wanted to work in the e-commerce, and then I moved to and then I came to Shopee. That's where I help with advertisers to build their brand awareness through. But I mean, I'm not an algorithm engineer, but that's as a product manager, you can think of as you help with engineers and business team to figure out what's the kind of the AI product you want to ship. So that's a brief introduction, and we can talk more about any of the things that you guys are interested.
Oh, sure, sure. That's cool. That's cool, Jerry. So, yeah, you are a professional and you have graduated several years first from us, yeah. Basically, you have lots of uh exposure and ini ya for your apa your experiences in especially in data science and e-commerce, yeah.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, I'm just curious. Now you are in at Shopee Singapore as a product manager. So, is it like a shifting career from data science field to product manager field, or uh, any insights from you?
Is it different? Is that your question? I see.
Uh, Shifting. I mean, it's like a shifting career from
Oh, I see. I
uh.
see. Okay. No, I don't think so. Because I think mm, people in the West, and I mean just in general, people have been liking to use the sexy word of data science more and more. I mean, to me, it's just the in this indispensable part of the job nowadays. Like, it's not
Mm,
like, okay, I want to be a data scientist or I want to work in data science to need to know uh, how AI works. Yeah, that's just part of the daily routine almost that you have to incorporate. So, for example, well, the most simple example is in any big companies or any, I mean, similar to the project you guys will do in school, right? Like, you always want to measure how things how things can be improved and successful. So you're always going to have metrics that you're going to be closely following. And you're not just going to follow at one data point. Like, you're not just going to look at revenue, right? You're going to look at all these different things that contribute to revenues. So it's almost this data sense of mind that you just have to carry with you when you see a problems. You think about, okay, what are some what are some contributing factors to this data point? What are some biases? That's one of the most important thing. What are some biases that data don't tell you? So that's the sort of things you just. I mean, it's not just data. I think it's for everybody. Even if you go to consulting and other field, that's just the kind of skill we want to try to train at school. So it's not just for data scientists career. It's for any career that you
mm,
want to make decisions. You want to make it scientifically. So yeah.
yeah, okay, so I agree with that. Yeah, for consulting as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
could
absolutely.
be applied. Yes, maybe Rico, Andhika, or Ari want to ask
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll give example of first data science and then product management because it's so when I work at data science data scientist at this startup for e-commerce. I mean, in any job, you always have a problem you're trying to solve. So what's the problem? So the problem is how can we uh, provide the most attractive discount to customers while at the same time remember you can give away as much vouchers as possible, but you always want to make sure that the sellers you're helping are also making money, right? So there's a balance of the you know the kind of nice, attractive discount you can offer, and then the amount of money you want to make for these sellers. So what we do is what data scientists do, in fact, is you need to think of how we can get data first to approach this problem. Usually you realize as actually as smaller companies, not like a company like Facebook and Amazon, where roles are more specialized, right? You have data science do this, and you have an analyst do this, and you have engineer do that. For like smaller startup, you have to sort of do everything, right? So on that end, you really spend a lot of time thinking very hard how you can get data. Because for like company like Facebook or Twitter, you like billions, zillions of uh, data every day, right? But for a smaller startup, you have to think how do you piece this together with that. So what I did was you think about you have all these records of emails that sent out to customers. You have because you can track them whether they open it, right? And you can track them if they actually visit their sites through the emails. But on the other hand, you also have the shop's transaction record, where you place an order, you have to put in your emails, where all that, right? So you think of, so it's a very simple example. You have to think how we can put these together, and then you have this full line of how a seller, how a user will click on email and then purchase this, and then they come back to purchase again, and then you can thread this together, and that's when it's become a very useful positive sample where we can put in our model to train, and then we'll analyze, and then we'll build a model based on this different customers characteristics, and we know what kind of emails that will work the best. So that's a very small example of a project I worked on. So it's I think I'll give you some idea of how you have to think very hard of how to piece these together. Sometimes obvious, because when more experienced data science pointed out, it will be very obvious, but sometimes you brainstorm and be a little more creative about it. Um, so that's one thing. And I mean, for product management role, data science is more for your decision making. Well, for me, it's more decision making, but obviously your product can feature a lot of the machine learning techniques that will obviously be ingrained with all the machine learning techniques. But I'm not going to touch that because I'm not specialized in that. So, but mostly for decisions. For example, um, you want to, for in my example, when you use Shopee, I'm sure you know that. I mean, like any apps on Facebook or Twitter, they track where users are clicking at. I mean, it's a really simple idea. I mean, it's and that will just generate, you know, hundreds of requests. I mean, clicking informations of where you're clicking just by one user a day. So And you can imagine how we process these data is we have every single action you have, and that's that's like any tech company these days. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, every single action that you have. So that's and then with that you can compile these data and piece together where are users looking at, where they're clicking, where they most likely to click at. That's when the models come in, and where you definitely where you are definitely not clicking at. So all these very simple. You might think, okay, you're giving away that information. That's not big hurt on your end. But remember, there are millions of users that are going through this every day. So that tells huge things about what the users want. And then that's what I'm saying is that's when the data science come in. You make decision scientifically of what's the best for based on the behavior of the users. So that's another example for on a more of a PM role. So yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, maybe I first. Sir, I want to ask you about the advantage and disadvantage on improvement AI based on your job.
Improvements. Yes, absolutely. I think there are two improvements that we everybody well a lot of people will hope to see. First is privacy. That's the most important thing. There just been examples in apps. I mean, in China and also in the US too, that because all of your user behavior is so heavily tracked, right? Like you said that on Twitter or on any app that you use, you can think about basically on any app you use. Um, the company knows so much about your behaviors, so they know how to monetize at the right time. For example, in the app in China where there's delivery, food delivery. I don't know what's the food delivery app you guys use in Jakarta. Is it Deliveroo or Grab, something like that? You think?
Grab.
Yeah, right. If you think about it, they have so much information about you of how often you're opening, how often you're making an order, what type of orders you're gonna have. You can think of it just there's this just limitless dimensions of information about you. Like I said, every single information, every single fraction of seconds of actions you stay on the app, they'll track. So they know they're gonna monetize you at the right point. For example, if you browse the food on your app and for a few seconds, and then on the back end, our smart engineers have already built models that can calculate how likely you're gonna actually place an order on this food, and then they're gonna improve. They're gonna bump up the price a little bit when they think you're actually gonna make an order, right? So that's bad because with all these data, they know what you're gonna do next, and then they're gonna charge you a little more than they're supposed to. I mean, there have been many examples in that in many companies, also taxi ride-hailing app. When they think you're a loyal user, they're probably going to charge you a little more than if you're just a new user. And now all that decision made of whether they're going to charge you a little more is based exactly on all your history, which you probably don't remember what kind of taxi ride you had a month ago. So that's the kind of the privacy issue we should be aware of. But what can we do about it? That's a good question. Are we I think usually there are two voices. One is through government intervention, but this government intervention is specialized enough. Are people from the government smart enough to know what are these smart engineers are doing, right? So that's one question. And the other is, we always want to have the program like what you guys doing, learning about ethics of AI early on, and so that as product manager and as future data scientists, what are the right things to do, what are maybe some not so right things to do. So that's one problem and improvement I want to see. And the other one is it's mostly for it's related, right? It's for extreme opinions. Remember, anything free on internet is powered by what? By clicks on advertising or clicks on certain promotions. Everything, like Twitter isn't free. I mean, it will be free when it won't be free when Elon Musk launched a new thing. But everything you use that you think is free are not free, because they're trying to get you to click on things that will charge advertisers somehow, right? So when everything is so click oriented, they're going to serve you the information, the news, the articles, the videos that you like to see, right? Because you're going to click more often. So that's when things get a little tricky, when they're only going to serve you the things that you like, that you think will keep you hooked, keep you want to comment, or keep you want to clicking the like button. So not going to feed you, not going to shape how you think of the world, right? Like when you get on Twitter, they're going to serve you more information about what you liked before. So that will help build up very isolated opinions about the world when people are very different. And you see that examples in 2016, the US elections, of the extremist Trump supporters, because all they're going to see is the news about Donald Trump, and while the other party, people in other party, are only going to see the news that's about what they want to see. So there will be a more divided, more extreme opinions that's going to happen. So that has already happened, and now that's going to happen. So that's a problem we have to solve as our generation continue to rely on technology. So yeah.
Okay, I think it's enough for the answer, sir. Thank you very much. Maybe Ari want to ask you about another thing.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Maybe this is the last question from us. Maybe do you have a message for us, which is now in fourth year undergraduate student, and maybe next year we'll face for doing or get some job. Do you have any message for us to face the technology or modern era in the world of job right now?
Okay. What do you guys study in the?
And me and Rico and Andhika is geomatics and engineering student, and Ilham is electrical engineering student.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm electrical.
Oh, okay. So you guys are more engineer than me. I mean, I'm more on the data side, but I think it's never difficult for engineer to be reliant on making decisions with data, because that's how you guys train. You guys are trained to look at facts, to look at how experiments go, right? That's a huge thing, because you think about that's another thing I think you have to mention. In big companies, in all the apps you use, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of experiments happening under the hood that you don't realize. So as an engineer, you're trained to look at how you can set up experiments to prevent biases, right? The bias is critical it's dangerous. You set up experiments of what you expect to see, and based on experiment results, and you have a plan of the option A, option B, what you're going to do, and all these things you guys learn in engineering sciences are just trying to think of business, think of real world problems scientifically, and that's exactly what data scientists do. Instead, we're just looking at business problems more scientifically. We're looking at for the food ordering app, right? We're looking at different, slightly different algorithms, slightly different modeling, how these two experiments will be, the outcome will be different. So that's so you guys are already on a great track of just having the engineering mindset and think about how you can design experiments that will be that's a huge value that you would add to any data oriented job, because frankly, if you're not going to be a machine learning engineer, other than that, the requirement of data science on you wouldn't be too difficult. It's painful. You guys have probably already taken like 2 or 2 statistics courses, right? So they already give you enough. I think it's being intentional of when you make a decision, when you need to make a decision, think of what kind of data you have to look at first. So that's and just ask that, and you'll be already better off than not. Because once you're at work, there's so many things you're million of like small things you have to deal with, people you have to deal with. You get now at school you think about, okay, I got to do science, but what when I get lost? So many things. So always plan and think about what data you need, what kind of bias data you have. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Sure. That was very good question. Very good. Sorry, Jerry. So I'm a little curious for the data science and machine learning engineering said before. So what is actually the kind of difference between the machine learning engineer and data science? Maybe the typical role or the workload or any science.
Are you talking about roles or fields?
Roles.
So data scientists and machine engineers, they could be overlap. I mean, depends on there could be overlaps, and they also be very different. So I know the companies say that these roles are very different. Data scientists mostly use data to recognize business needs, to analyze business needs, doing experiments, and answering questions, and doing research. That's kind of and building our training data, train the model, building a model that will be productionized. But again, it will vary by companies. So some companies they take part in machine learning and jobs, but they'll also write production level code that machine learning models to so there's no that depends on the company, varies. But in Asia, data scientists are usually more like machine learning engineers in that sense, I think. And there's also the other group, data analysts, which is a less sexy name, but still they're dealing with all this similar roles that data scientists take in the West. So there's no huge distinguish this difference between these two. Some companies, but these are not. You could be a good machine manager, you could be a good data scientist. That's not usually the case. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Jerry. Maybe from Ari, Rico, or I want to situation again, or sure. Thank you. Yes, before we could end this conversation, maybe you have any feedback from our session tonight?
Any what? Sorry.
Any feedback from our interview session?
I don't think so. This is great. This is fun. Yeah, if you guys can introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Okay. So I think for me it's enough. We could have some several insight and also the key information we can take, especially we are as a final year student, to get before we get into real experience in a job, and then we could know about the data science, especially and the technology, commerce as well. So it's very good interview session, and yes, thank you, Jerry, for your time for coming to here.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Good luck for
Yes.